Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Petticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Petticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Petticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Petticoat Junction.
Kate? What do you think of this?
Jeremiah Pretty, temperance lecturer. Huh. We haven't had one of those around a month of Sundays.
Well, you gotta admit, this valley's been kind of tough sledding for those fellas. We don't have anybody that drinks.
Fred Zippo was the last, wasn't he?
And he just done it because he was married to Doris.
But when he got his pig, Arnold seemed to relieve all his frustration.
Hate to rush you, Kate, but we're behind schedule.
Oh, I didn't know you boys had a schedule this time of day.
We just made it up. Charley says, Floyd, we ought to have a schedule. And I said, yeah.
So we sat down and made us a schedule.
And it took us so long, we're behind.
Well, I wouldn't want to be the cause of any further delay. Sam, this is a short list. Betty Jo can pick it up after baseball practice.
Sure thing. She still got her heart set on being a shortstop, huh?
Mm-hmm. But she's getting more feminine all the time. Lately, I've been smelling cologne on her sweatshirt.
What does this mean, temperance lecture?
Don't you know anything? That's a fella that comes around and talks you into drinking in moderation.
Well, he can talk till he's blue in the face. I ain't gonna do it. You don't drink. And I ain't gonna start, just to please him.
You gotta quit blowing the whistle while he's in the cab. You ready to go, Kate?
Yes. You'll have the things ready, huh, Sam?
Sure will.
You're out of luck with me, mister. I promised my mama I wouldn't take a drink till I was 21.
Floyd, you're a dang sight more than 21.
He don't know it.
Hi, Betty Jo. Oh, say, your mom left an order for you to take home. I'll get... Who's your friend?
Oh, my gosh, you again. He's been following me ever since baseball practice. I gave him that ball and played catch with him, and now he thinks we're going steady.
Well, maybe you're getting irresistible to the opposite sex. Hey, you do wear cologne in your sweatshirt, don't you?
That's my little trick. The opposing players never quite believe it. Then when they step off base to get a better sniff, I tag them out.
There's a lot of Uncle Joe in you. I wonder where he belongs. He's new around here.
He won't talk. Look, I've got to go home now. You go home, too, and then maybe tomorrow I'll play catch with you again. I said tomorrow. Maybe. Oh, gee, Mr. Drucker, do you suppose our credit account could stand, well, what would you like? Bubble gum? Candy?
I'm not allowed to let anybody buy me anything.
Well, would you listen to that? The first words he's spoken today, and he turns down candy.
Well, now, technically, he didn't turn it down. He just said nobody could buy it for him. You know what I just remembered? I clean forgot to put in this week's bonus. A licorice whip with every order.
Gee, Mr. Drucker, I just don't have a taste for licorice whips today.
Oh, really? Well, it comes with the order. Seems a shame to throw it away, but if you don't want it...
Gosh, Mr. Drucker, you're pretty clever. I didn't think I'd ever get rid of him.
Well, as I've said before, getting rid of boys isn't a talent most girls care to develop. Here you are.
Thank you. Bye.
Joe. That was you at the throttle when we come around Dead Man's Curve, wasn't it?
How'd you know?
Well, it was so smooth. When he's running there, it's real jerky.
Jerky.
Well, you heard me. I can't even sort my mail. It keeps falling out of them pigeonholes.
I'll stuff your head in one of them pigeonholes.
Fellas, please. Could I have our mail and the groceries?
Well, what have we here?
Oh, no. Him again.
He a friend of yours, Betty Jo?
Well, I suppose so, whether I want him to be or not.
Young feller, don't you know it's against the law to ride on the train and not buy a ticket?
Is that a yes, I know, Blink? Or is that so, Blink?
What's the difference?
We better get going. We got to pick up Earl Farley's milk before it sours in the sun.
Oh, that's right. Goodbye, Betty Jo. Goodbye, Mr. Hobo.
Oh, what about him?
I reckon he'll have to stay with you.
I don't even know who he is.
We ain't got accommodation for care feeding.
And we can't back all the way up to Hooterville. We got to pick up Earl Farley's milk.
If we don't, he gets mad and throws cowbells at us and makes big dents in the tender.
Yeah, but... Yeah, but... She... There wasn't anything else to do but bring him up here.
Well, yeah, but is that the only expression you've got? Wistful and appealing? Can't you look mean and nasty so I can send you away? Hold it. You mean you could have another hot dog? No, wait a minute. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, little fella. Your skin can stretch just so much, and then your freckles pop off.
And then Roy Strongheart leaped on his white stallion and rode down the mountainside to cut off the stagecoach robbers at the pass.
Excuse me, Uncle Joe. Would you like a candied apple, Clint? What do you say?
Thank you.
That's a good boy. Uncle Joe, would you like to have one?
Well, later. Too anxious to find out how this Roy Strongheart makes out.
Hold it like this. And this. And there you have it. Now it's time for our squadron of planes to take off.
Mom, look, isn't Steve wonderful with children?
Uh-huh. Good husband material, all right. Sue me, I'm a mind reader.
Squadron leader takes off first. Okay, it's your turn. Now remember, rule number 1 for all pilots before they take off is to see that their instruments are in order. Have you done that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, take off. Rule number 2. All pilots should see that their hands aren't sticky from candied apple.
Uh-oh, there's a cannonball on a return trip. Billie Jo, you go on down there and hold her. I gotta get this little fella back to where he belongs, wherever that is. Come on, little fella. Let's go. Yes, sir. May I help you?
How do you do? I am Jeremiah Priddy.
Oh, yes, the lecturer.
Ah, so there you are.
Oh, is this your little boy?
Mm-hmm. Come along now. Sorry for your trouble.
Oh, no trouble. He's a fine little boy, very well behaved.
Well, I don't wish to disagree, madam, but I don't call running away good behavior.
We're forgetting this.
He can do without that. Thank you again and goodbye.
Mr. Priddy, I know running away isn't the right thing to do, but he's just a little boy, and at that age, I did the same thing.
So did I. Remember, Mom, when I was about 6 years old?
Oh, yeah, all the girls went through the same phase of running away. So you see... Speaking of runaways...
He's not exactly friendly, Fred.
Mom, was that Clint's father?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Jeremiah Priddy.
We said hello, and all he did was grunt.
Acts like a charm school dropout.
That poor little boy. Yeah, Mom, isn't there something we can do
No, honey, there isn't. You see, Clint is a very sweet little boy. And he could work himself into our hearts very easily, but he doesn't belong to us, so it's strictly hands off.
Well, it seems such a
Honey,
shame.
I said hands off.
Petticoat Junction will return.
Oh, no. What are you doing here?
I like it here.
But you can't stay here.
You don't want me?
Oh, yes. I mean, no. I mean, well, you're not supposed to be here. You'll get us in trouble.
You mad at me?
No, I'm not mad, but... Golly. Oh, come on. This room is vacant. Now, I want you to stay in there until I can figure out what to do with you. Okay?
I'm hungry.
Oh, boy. You stay in there. Hi.
Fancy guest checked in who wants room service?
No.
Well, I can't believe you're waiting on your sisters.
No, I was just taking this up to the dog.
Potato chips, pickles, and milk for the dog?
Well, eating meat and bones day after day is tiring.
Steady, Joe.
Golly, why do I think I can get away with stuff like this?
Oh, but it might help if you got a better accomplice.
Oh, fine.
Wait a minute. This isn't for, Here. So you really want to run away, hmm?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a note you leave?
A note?
You mean you didn't leave a note? Oh, that's terrible. Well, that's the first thing in the manual of running away.
Yes?
Well, everybody knows that. I don't even think it's legal to run away without leaving a note.
What do I say?
Well, not very much. Just, something simple like, Dear Daddy, I am running away and I will never see you again. Cordially, your son. No, correction, ex-son.
Never see Daddy again?
Well, that's the idea, isn't it? If you run away from somebody, you don't expect to see him. Well, look, you don't have to take my word for it. I got this on very high authority from...
Well, I believe you. There's only one thing.
What's that?
I can't ride.
Then we'll just have to postpone the whole thing, and you'll have to go back and wait until you learn how to write. You see any other way out of it? Well, then let's go.
Cannonball's in. Well, I better get down there and see if that book I ordered came in, Modern Day Pressures, and what to do about it.
Floyd, I wondered if you would see that... Oh, hi, Mr. Pretty.
Just as I suspected.
Mr. Pretty, I was just going to...
Mrs. Bradley, why don't you kidnap my child outright instead of trying to alienate him from me by degrees?
Mr. Pretty, your little boy came down here of his own accord.
No, Mrs. Bradley, not of his own accord. He was baited. Baited by this undisciplined atmosphere in which he finds himself, where he can do anything he pleases, eat all this goop.
What do you mean, undisciplined atmosphere and goop?
Mrs. Bradley, I recognize this modern disease, this cult of the soft life.
Mr. Pretty, I don't know what you're driving at, but your little boy came to us of his own free will, and we treated him as we would any other individual. We welcomed him, we were friendly and hospitable. Now, if there's anything wrong with that, we're guilty.
Mrs. Bradley, we could bandy words all day long. But as one who is steeped in the permissive approach of bringing up children, you wouldn't understand.
Just a second, you. You've gone a little bit too far.
Uncle Joe, please
Kate,
don't
I can
bother.
stand most anything, but when he starts talking about you and raising children, he's barking up the wrong family tree. My niece here has single-handedly raised the best children in this valley.
The county.
The state.
I'll tell you why your boy breaks away from you and comes over here. Because he finds something he's not getting from you. Attention and affection. And people that care for him.
Right.
You keep talking about the good times you wouldn't even recognize them if you saw them. But if you ever want to get a load of what it's really like, we've got it at the Shady Rest.
You can start the train any time.
Well, we got to take on some water first.
Cam, what you doing here?
Well, Steve gave me a lift in his plane. I came to warn you about that pretty fella. I guess I'm too late.
Mm-hmm. We met head-on at the cannonball.
I bet that wasn't too pleasant. As I was leaving in Ed Langdon, and he gave me the lowdown on Pretty. He and a boy have been staying at Pixley House, and yesterday he was thrown out for not paying.
You mean they have no place to stay?
Not only that, Pretty hasn't got any place to lecture. They closed the community hall on him for not coming up with the rent. I understand he wasn't drawing much of a crowd.
Herb Hughes went to hear lecture number 3 the other night on the evils of drink. Just with him and one other fellow there. The lecture was so dull they finally drove all the way to Crabwell Corners to get a nip at Monahan's bar.
That poor man.
Kate, you don't need to worry about Monahan. Ever since he put in them extra salty pretzels, he's been making a killing.
I was referred to Mr. Pretty.
Well, why worry about him after what we just went through?
How about the little boy?
Oh, well, that's something different.
Excuse me. Boys, could I ask you to do me a favor?
Sure, Kate.
Well, it's a tiny bit crooked.
Is it for you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, stop wasting time. What is it?
I still don't see how the boiler could crack with the train just standing there.
Well, it was, just one of those things, wasn't it, boys?
Yeah, she just stood there building up pressure, and all of a sudden...
I'll take your least expensive room. How much is it, please?
Oh, the C&FW is responsible. They'll pick up the bill.
That's right.
Uncle Joe! Uncle Joe! Oh, would you please take Mr. Pretty up to number 4? Boys, you get back into town and spread the word that Mr. Pretty's lecture is going to take place right here.
Well, we'll spread the word, Kate, but who's going to come?
Tell him there's going to be free entertainment and free refreshments.
That ought to get him. Now, if he can just keep from putting them to sleep, we've got it made.
Shouldn't doing something nice make you feel good?
Of course.
Then why don't I feel good? Oh, I know. 'Cause our boiler's cracked.
Sisters, sisters, there were never such devoted sisters. Never had to have a chaperone, no sir. We're here to keep our eyes on her. Caring, sharing, every little thing that we are wearing. When a certain gentleman arrived from Rome, I wore the dress and we stayed home. All kinds of weather, we stick together, the same in the rain and sun. 3 different faces, but in tight places, we think and we act as one. Those who've seen us know that not a thing can come between us. Many men have tried to split us up, but no one can. Lord, help the mister who comes between me and my sisters. And Lord, help the sister who comes between me and my man.
Thank you, girl. And now, here to introduce our guest speaker of the evening, Mr. Joseph Carson.
Thank you, Kate. Ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce our speaker, I'm going to give you a fair warning. You'd better buckle your seatbelts, because he's going to tear into us sinful folks worse than we ever been tore into before. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeremiah Pretty.
Thank you, Mr. Carson. Ladies and gentlemen, I had planned to deliver a speech full of fire and brimstone, but now that the moment has come to present it, I just can't bring myself to bawling out and condemning the wonderful people I've met here at Shady Rest. There's nothing they could learn from me compared to what I've learned from them in neighborliness, kindliness, and compassion, and understanding. And on that note, I think the entertainment should continue.
Well, it looks like we can unfasten our safety belts. And while we're doing that, let's listen to a song from our own Steve Elliott.
You gotta give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You gotta laugh a little, cry a little, before the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Just as long as there's the two of us, we got the world and all of its charms. And when the world is through with us, we got each other's arms. You gotta win a little, lose a little, and always have the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love.
There you are, Clint. Oh, I just don't know how to thank you all.
Oh, no, thank you. It was a pleasure having you here.
Now, you drink up, Clint, because we have to be going along. That is, unless there's another crack in the boiler.
Well, this is a little crack.
Now, isn't this a lot better than drinking that hard stuff you've been trying to sell people on?
Floyd, you haven't got this straight. Mr. Pretty is against liquor.
Not in his lectures. He says drink in moderation, and I ain't gonna do it.
Kate, I'm going to try to straighten him out once and for all.
Oh, straightening out in the world ain't gonna make me drink anything stronger than a root beer float. And even that with only one scoop.
Boy, you knucklehead.
That's the way my mama wanted it, and that's the way it's gonna be.
Ready, Clint?
I think he wants you to play ball with him.
You, think it's too late to learn?
Yeah. All it takes is a little time. Go ahead. Pitch it to him. Like I said, it takes a little time.
Finish your hotcakes, darling. There's a heaping stack of green acres on the griddle coming right up as TV Land's Hooterville Saturday continues. Stay tuned.
Junction.